Hey, Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, or super helps out. Thank you so much, and let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Not Jez Rabbit, who says, "Am I the a-hole for reporting my boss over a nickname? I'm a 31-year-old female and recently started a new job. Well, a few months ago. It's a 5 guys office plus the boss. The boss is one of those guys who thinks has a natural charm that ladies would instantly fall for. But he looks like a thumb. And a lot of dumb confidence for making inappropriate comments, even when talking to me about work issues. I keep my arm's length and I'm very professional with my workmates. Some days ago, I was chasing after some workmate because he was procrastinating sending me a document. I went to him to make him send it and he said okay, took his phone and opened the messages app and sent me the file. But looking at it, I noticed that he saved my number as Jessica Rabbit. I asked him about it, confused, and looked at me shocked, eyes wide open. Just said I'm sorry. I didn't let him go and interrogated him until he confessed that the boss always called me Jessica Rabbit. To be clear, I'm naturally a redhead. Got it from mum and dye my hair red when it gets darker, but I don't look like Jessica Rabbit. I'm flat as a table. Yes, I had trust issues about it and worked very hard to like my body. I despise the thought of being compared to a hypersexualized cartoon character. I talked to my boss when he came into the office and asked about the nickname. He just said, because you are both sexy redheads. I told him to stop it because I don't feel safe. He just said, why are you so angry? It's a compliment. I said it's not and stormed out. I went to HR to do a formal complaint. The HR lady said that she had processed the complaint but that it was worthless because boss is just like that. I told her that I don't like my boss's attitude and need a warrant to stop. Since then, my boss has stopped talking to me and my workmates say that I'm way too dramatic and don't know how to take a compliment. They also complain they don't feel safe around me because they don't know if I will twist their words somehow. Am I the a-hole here?" We're going to start in the comments with Ooze, who says, wow, not the a-hole at all. This is sexual harassment. The nickname is inappropriate and calling you a sexy redhead is inappropriate. HR is not doing their job. The company needs to be reported if HR tolerates this kind of behavior from their management. Rombodia says, not the a-hole. You did everything right here. Start keeping records of hostile interactions at work and especially complaints you made to HR. Because if it keeps up, you're going to need a lawyer, and they're going to learn what sexual harassment and hostile work environment mean. Kuki replies to that and says, make records of everything. Email yourself the date and approximate time that you noticed the nickname of your colleague's phone. Detail the conversation you had in as much detail as you can remember. Like do a I said blah blah, they said blah blah. Make notes on the weather, where in the office you were, if anyone else was in earshot. The more details you have, the more credible your account of things will be. Document the date and approximate time you spoke with your boss and what was said. Again, add all details. Every interaction that has anything to do with this harassment, document. A dirty look, a snide comment, everything. And Bionic Gimpster says, not the a-hole. There are 3 issues here. First, calling you Jessica Rabbit in itself doesn't hit the burden of harassment in most US states. However, the fact that he called you that to the other guys in the office creates a potentially hostile workplace, as he's creating an exclusive boys club with a funny nickname that you weren't aware of prior. Second, the sexy redhead comment instantly clears the hurdle of sexual harassment. In some cases, you need to make him aware that you are offended, and the next offense becomes harassment. Finally, HR minimizing the complaint means they are likely trying to minimize it in your eyes. They have no responsibility to tell you if they have warned him. Personal issues are private, with no need to update the complainant. Or they've done nothing. However, your boss's reaction says he was spoken to and is now retaliating towards you. The question is how much you like the job. You'd likely have a lawsuit, though no guarantee of winning. Now, obviously, your colleague, that when you saw it on their phone, knew it was wrong instantly because their first words was I'm sorry. And what was going through your boss's head to think this was a good idea? I really struggle to just try and get into someone's mindset like that, to think what is going through their head in that moment, to think I'm going to tell the rest of my colleagues that we're calling her Jessica Rabbit. And then when she approaches you about it, not turn around and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry for that, or whatever. Not that there's a way to get past it or anything like that, but to turn around and say, but it's a compliment. Oh God, makes me shiver. But then OP did edit the post and they said, I didn't expect that many comments. Thank you, but now it is very hard to read them all. But I've been taking notes and I'll try my best, even though I can afford to be jobless for a few months, so I'm not scared of quitting if it goes nowhere. To be clear, I did not snoop on the phone. I was standing and my coworker was sitting in his chair, so I had a very clear view of his phone. And I saw that he saved my number as Jessica Rabbit. Oh, and the guys who called me horrible names in my DMs and wished for horrible things to happen to me. I hope you get help, or otherwise you never work with or be in a relationship with any women, since you seem to hate women so much. Update, thank you guys for all your support. I've mailed HR asking for things on writing about their lack of action. I've got absolutely nothing. Later I found a lawyer and he sent a strongly worded legal mail to HR. No response yet. That was yesterday, Friday, so let's give them some time. The co-worker who has my name saved as Jessica Rabbit spoke to me, apologized and said that he would help me if HR asks for testimonies or if there is a lawsuit. He said that Thumb, boss, always referred to me as Jessica Rabbit, to the point that he, co-worker, thought that Jessica was my real name. He also told me that they changed my nickname. I'm now known as Amber Heard. I'm furious, but I'm keeping a straight face so they don't punish me further until this gets settled somehow. Update, hello, I did an update on my profile. Sorry for being missing for a few days. The OP's update came 3 weeks later, which says update on my Jessica Rabbit saga. Hello if you're reading this, thanks for all the support on my original post. I won't go through the hassle of being approved by the mods there, so I'll post here. Well, I was fired. They said that I was creating a hostile work environment and had a meeting with HR, but they told me to quit since I've been hostile with my coworkers and not given my best effort. I was doing the exact amount of work that is mentioned in my contract, but I refused to quit. I insisted on that and they refused to terminate me. Finally, they gave up and fired me. I can't say much now, but I'll sue for wrongful termination on top of the sexual harassment. I think I have my back covered and I can afford to be jobless for a few months, and I have a lawyer. There are some sketchy things in this company. Everyone in the big positions, including my boss, HR's boss, etc., are related somehow to the owner of the company. Also, I've made calculations financially. Earnings, expenses, income, taxes, and salaries doesn't add up. But I'll just focus on my case and hope that whatever is going on there comes to light in court. Thanks for reading. I'll be out for a while. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Spawn of Wife, who says, am I the a-hole for telling my wife that it's for the best if her son stays away from our family? I, 40, married wife Jenna, 42, 8 years ago, and we've been together for 10 years. We have 2 great kids together. When she was 19, Jenna had a son, Randy, 23, whose dad was a deadbeat. Jenna didn't make much, so Randy didn't have the best childhood. But she tried so hard for him, but he was so resentful and didn't care. He hated me when we started dating, was passive-aggressive, refused to take a role at our wedding. And when we had our daughter, Alexis, now 7, he got spiteful. We tried all kinds of therapy, but he refused to accept there wasn't a problem. When he turned 19, he cursed out his mum after an argument, and enough was enough. We evicted him and ended financial support so he'd understand how much his mum tried. By all accounts, he's doing well. He graduated, got a degree, and has a high-paying software job. We stayed in contact with him. We text him, but he barely responds. He only sees Jenna for about an hour every few months. She's always sad after seeing him, and I have to cheer her up, which isn't an issue. But I don't like seeing her sad. We had a big family dinner a week ago, and she invited him in advance to give him time. He never came. She found out from my Instagram 2 days after that Randy blew off the dinner because he took his girlfriend to visit his father's family in Australia and proposed because it turns out she's pregnant. She's been very sad this entire week because of it, and I tried everything to cheer her up, but it's not working. She doesn't even seem to be happy around Alexis or even our baby, and I'm worried because she's never been this depressed before. I tried to talk to her about it, and she was just non-responsive, and nothing I was doing made her happy. So I pointed out to her that Randy clearly doesn't care for our family, and it's for the best if he stays away. She got very angry with me and called me an a-hole for not trying to understand how she felt and just trying to make her feel better. I want to be clear. Everything about Randy is just in there to give clarification regarding why what I said may be the issue between my wife and I. This is not about Randy except for how he relates to conflict between my wife and I. That said, I don't see what I did wrong in saying that given how hurt she was, but she's still angry at me, and maybe she's right and I am the a-hole for saying that, so I guess I'm here to learn that. Edit, my username is not in reference to Randy. My wife refers to our baby as her spawn. It's a weird term of endearment. I originally made this account to post about our baby, but made this post because it was a fresh account. I probably will not be doing that now. I'm going to start in the comments with Specialist Pumpkin who says you're the a-hole, and I'll give you a few reasons why. The reason Randy was spiteful was because he was probably bullied for having no father, and him not being able to have nice clothes or toys kids are wicked. When his half-sister was born, he felt replaced because he sees your kids as kids who get to live with both biological parents 24/7. And they aren't going through what he went through. He feels like your kids are his mum's do-over babies. 4 legs on a table, 4 wheels on a car. He constantly felt like the 5th, and he felt that whenever he sees you being a father to your kids, what's going through his mind? I'm the constant reminder to my stepfather that my mum spread her legs for someone else, and it sucks that my half-siblings get the good life and I didn't. When you kicked them out, that was the final nail in the coffin because now he feels like his mum abandoned and replaced him. Happy Banana says you're the a-hole. Our family. I can't be civil and say what I'm thinking, but Randy is her family, and he should also be your family. It's painfully clear why we'd feel like an outcast here. Randy had a crap childhood, then got a crappy stepfather who assumed Randy is 100% the problem. Randy is then kicked out at 19. No financial support, just see ya. Why do you and Jenna feel Randy owes you anything? What effort do either of you make? You dumped the guy. I'm amazed he still talks to either of you at all. Pookie Bub replies to that and says this is very short-sighted, after stating he had not kicked Randy out immediately and offered help in various ways. Randy, unwilling to participate, would affect the rest of the family dynamic poorly and failed to see his mother's attempt to assist him further now that she had the means, and now stepfather willing to give Randy a chance to better himself. Also, Randy is doing well. Is that attributed to his terrible treatment or how hard his mother tried to help him under difficult circumstances? The stepfather being concerned for his family after struggling to make a connection that was clearly never going to happen is a positive thing. Did he say he wanted Randy out of the house immediately? No. A tough decision had to be made because of a divided home. Mum feels like she didn't do enough, yet Randy turned out well and won't recognize his mother's attempts. Is that her fault? Things like this can be constructive for a new home environment, or destructive. 47 says you're the a-hole, massive you're the a-hole. This is an absolute cluster F of a situation, and you really are doing your best to spin it your way. You're just as at fault for your crapfest here as anyone else, and if you can't see that, you've got to be intentionally not looking. I think you do know though. I think you're 100% aware of what you're doing even if you don't want to acknowledge it. You're trying to manipulate people in an anonymous Reddit post presumably only to feed and validate your ego. I can only assume you're just as if, or not far more manipulative in your day-to-day life. I truly hope your wife realizes this. OP did leave some comments to some replies, so in one he said, I did not kick out Randy. That was not a decision that I singly could have made. We both made it together for the sake of our daughter. And at this point, what else am I supposed to say? He flaked on a family dinner that meant so much to his mother. She wanted him there so badly. And then she has to find out he got his girlfriend pregnant and is going to marry her from Instagram. He couldn't even be bothered to tell her. What else was I supposed to say? Someone comments on the stepson's maturity and OP responds saying exactly this. Look, would I rather he be in our lives if he could be good, productive part of it and appreciative of everything his mum sacrificed for him? Yes, of course. But if he's going to leave her to find out about all these developments in his life from Instagram, then he's just going to keep hurting her. And yes, he's a young man. I know his brain's not even fully developed, so maybe there's time for him to make things up with his mother. People ask him what was offered to stepson, and OP responds and says, we offered a down payment on where he could live. We offered to pay for groceries. We offered to still drive him to university and more. He refused everything. People also wanted to know about the argument, what led up to him being kicked out, and OP responds and says the argument was a simple matter. He wanted to take 6 courses a semester, not including labs or tutorials into that count. His mother pointed out that would wreck his mental health and said she wouldn't pay the tuition for more than 4 courses a semester. I was perfectly willing to pay for a 5th, even told him that, but agreed that 6 was too many. He went off on his mother, calling her a bitch, a whore and a slut, every vile name in the book. He implied she was an actual prostitute, called her diseased and things like that. I didn't want to talk about the things he'd said because I don't like thinking about them. He hasn't apologized for what he said either. His mother was looking out for his mental health, and he took that as an opportunity to degrade her. Then OP listens to the "you're the a-hole" comments and seems to accept them and says thank you. I feel like you also understand where I was coming from with this. It may sound weird and I accept the overall judgment that I was an a-hole for what I said, but I never wanted anything bad for him. Evicting him was the last option we had. I hope my wife can have a good relationship with him, but if there's one that hurts her too much, then it may not be worth having. So then OP updates their post and says, I considered posting this on Am I the A-hole, but I'd rather go low-key for the people who have messaged me since I first posted. When Randy came back from Australia, Jenna learned by an Instagram post. My wife called and begged him to come over when he could, and he came about 2 weeks after. He was clearly uncomfortable when Alexis came to say hi with our baby, so I took them to my cousins before returning. When I came back, it was clear Randy had been crying, given that he was drinking like a pitcher of water. After that, he gave Jenna an old photo he had in his wallet of her and him when he was like 5, of her holding him in the bed while he slept, and said he didn't need it anymore, gave her a hug and left the house. I talked to him outside his car before he left and apologized for being a tyrant and a lot of things people on my last post said that I did. He just told me that he appreciates the apology, and if I ever did care about him, to keep myself and my kids out of his life. It hurt to hear him say that. He doesn't care for them, and he doesn't see them as his siblings, and he doesn't ever want to see them again. I told him I'd respect his wishes, and would try to make sure his mum did too. He shook my hand, and he left. After he left, Jenna told me that when I was gone, he asked what we wanted, and assumed she was calling asking him for money, and didn't know it was about him getting married and his fiance's pregnancy. He started crying because she apologized for how everything went down between them and for evicting him, and admitted that it was wrong of us. When Jenna asked if he hates her, he told her that because she's his mum, he'll always love her, and if she wants, he'll keep seeing her as little as he does until he moves to Australia, and she'll be invited to his wedding, but only as a guest, and that she would never meet his child or be a grandma since that was a role that was going to be his dad's wife, and he felt uncomfortable with how small the age gap between our baby and his will be. He told her that if she really loved him as much as she said, she'd be happy with that and happy for him. After that day, it was hard for Jenna, and she did take it out on our kids and especially on me. But she did get better and things got back into routine, and we became that happy family we were again. Randy's wedding was about 5 months ago, before his wife started showing and my wife went. I of course was not invited. She came back crying because she was pretty much isolated there. Didn't talk to anybody except Randy and some of her former in-laws. She hated how much he honored his father's family during his reception speech, to the point where he even called his stepmom his true mum and his dad's kids for being the brother and sister that he always wanted. But I guess that's how he really feels. A little bit ago, Randy and his wife had their baby, and he's a beautiful boy. He's actually the most chubby, roll-filled baby I've ever seen. The post they put on Instagram again really hurt Jenna, since it was praising his wife and all about how he knows she would be the greatest mother in the world and never let what happened to him happen to their son. And she hasn't seen him in person. She cried more than she ever has when she saw that post. I've honestly never seen her that distraught, and I couldn't leave her side because I really was afraid she'd kill herself or something. I know she wants nothing more than to be there for Randy and help with his baby, but since then, it has kind of been like our kids, especially our baby, doesn't even exist. Now, Randy kept his promise to keep seeing my wife, and he met her out for coffee about once or twice a month. She'd always be glowing after their meetings and would tell me about his life and how happy he was. I'm guessing she thought they would lead to something more. He and his family will be moving to Australia next month. I'm posting this now because Jenna met with him yesterday, and he made it clear it'd be the last time he was meeting her unless he came back. He did accept a present from her for the baby, so maybe that's something. I know now that I was in the wrong. It may not be a happy ending for me, but it is for Randy, and since people rightfully cared more about him, that's why I'm posting. Going off his LinkedIn, he got promoted to the job of software architect at his company, which is big. Think Microsoft level big, which means his fiancée and his child will be secure. I'm assuming his job will be remote too, so he can work while in Australia. And I want everyone to know, I do genuinely wish him the best. He might not be our family, and that is my fault, but he has his own now, and I'm certain he'll do a better job than I did. And there was a lot of talk in the comments on this one saying there's probably a lot of missing reasons here, and people are suspecting that something went on between Randy and his mother that OP is sort of like either unaware of or is just seriously downplaying. But what do you guys make of this situation? Strange one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.